Persian Gulf, 1:29 p.m. Broad daylight, perfect visibility. MV Pacific Liberty, American-flagged oil tanker, 40 miles from Iranian coast. Standard transit, routine shipping lane. Then, Iranian Revolutionary Guard boats appeared. 6 of them, armed commandos moving to intercept. Their orders were clear: board the tanker, seize the cargo, capture the crew. Tehran believed they had a defenseless commercial vessel, but Iran made 3 catastrophic miscalculations. First, this tanker was being monitored by a P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft 20,000 feet overhead. Second, 2 MH-60S helicopters carrying Navy SEALs were 12 minutes away. Third, the tanker's crew weren't ordinary sailors. 4 were former Coast Guard trained in anti-piracy protocols. When Iranian boats closed to boarding distance, they thought they were seizing an oil tanker. Instead, they triggered the fastest maritime interdiction response in US Navy history. What happened in the next 9 minutes became a textbook example of VBSS operations, tactical superiority, and why Iran cannot control commercial shipping in international waters. This is that story. The Persian Gulf, one of the world's most contested waterways. Every day, dozens of oil tankers pass through narrow shipping lanes, carrying 20% of global petroleum supply, roughly 21 million barrels. The strait connects Middle Eastern oil fields to global markets, making it arguably the most strategically vital waterway on Earth. Control this choke point, control global energy prices. For decades, Iran has claimed special authority over these waters, positioned along the entire northern coast with naval bases, missile batteries, and hundreds of fast attack boats. Their strategy relies on speed, surprise, and the assumption that merchant ships won't resist armed boarding parties. For years, that strategy worked. In 2019, Iran seized British-flagged Stena Impero, holding it for 2 months. South Korean tanker Hankook Chemi, seized in 2021. Swedish vessel, Portuguese ship, multiple incidents where Iranian Revolutionary Guard boats surrounded commercial tankers, boarded them, and sailed them to Iranian ports. Crews detained, cargoes held hostage, released only after diplomatic negotiations and often financial settlements. The pattern was clear. Merchant vessels can't fight back. Captains comply to protect their crews. Flag nations negotiate rather than risk military confrontation. But there's one flag Iran has learned to avoid: the American flag. Because US-flagged vessels don't sail alone, ever. They operate under a completely different security architecture, one built on 3 pillars: persistent surveillance, rapid response capability, and overwhelming force authorization. When an American-flagged tanker enters the Persian Gulf, it doesn't just carry cargo. It carries the implicit guarantee that any attempt at seizure will trigger immediate military intervention. At 11 a.m. on this particular morning, MV Pacific Liberty departed Dubai's Jebel Ali port en route to Kuwait's Mina Al Ahmadi terminal. American-flagged commercial tanker, registered in Delaware, owned by Liberty Maritime Corp. It carried 2 million barrels of crude oil, worth approximately $160 million. Crew of 24. Captain Robert Hayes, 3 deck officers, chief engineer, 12 able seamen, and 7 support personnel. Standard commercial tanker, 274 meters long, 48 meters wide, displacing 120,000 tons when fully loaded. No visible weapons, no military markings, no indication this vessel was anything other than ordinary merchant traffic. But 3 factors made Pacific Liberty different from every other tanker in these waters. First, its automatic identification system, the maritime GPS that broadcasts position, course, and speed, transmitted directly to US Naval Forces Central Command in Bahrain. Every 30 seconds, Pacific Liberty's exact location updated on screens monitored by 5th Fleet operations officers. Second, 4 crew members weren't ordinary merchant sailors. They were former US Coast Guard, 2 had served on port security units, 1 had anti-piracy training from Gulf of Aden deployments, 1 had maritime law enforcement experience. They knew defensive procedures, communication protocols, and how to buy time if threatened. Third, the moment Pacific Liberty's AIS signal entered Persian Gulf coordinates, an automated alert triggered at Al Dhafra Air Base in the United Arab Emirates, flagging this vessel for priority aerial surveillance. At 11:15 a.m., a P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft taxied onto the runway at Al Dhafra. The P-8, modified from Boeing 737 commercial airframe, represented the most advanced maritime surveillance platform in the world. It carried AN/APY-10 radar capable of detecting small boats at 200 miles, AN/AAS-52 multispectral sensor providing high-resolution video and infrared imagery, and data links connecting it simultaneously to ships, aircraft, satellites, and command centers. Its crew of 9, 2 pilots, 5 sensor operators, tactical coordinator, in-flight technician, had a straightforward mission brief that morning. Maintain aerial orbit over American-flagged shipping, monitor Iranian naval activity, provide early warning of any interdiction attempts. At 11:30 a.m., the P-8 reached its patrol station, 20,000 feet altitude, positioned to monitor both Pacific Liberty's transit route and Iranian naval bases along the northern coast. From this altitude, its sensors tracked every vessel within 200 miles. Commercial traffic appeared as steady returns on radar. Tankers, container ships, fishing boats, all moving predictably through established shipping lanes. Iranian military vessels had different signatures, faster speeds, erratic courses, formation movements. The P-8's tactical coordinator, Lieutenant Sarah Chen, watched her displays carefully. Iranian activity had been increasing lately. More patrol boats, more aggressive maneuvers near commercial ships. Fifth Fleet intelligence suggested Tehran was preparing another tanker seizure to demonstrate control over Gulf waters. At 12:45 p.m., Chen noticed unusual movement. 6 contacts departing Bandar Abbas Naval Base, the Revolutionary Guard's primary facility. Fast attack boats, each approximately 15 meters long, capable of 50 knots. They left port in formation, accelerated to high speed, then turned south, not following standard patrol routes. Chen ran trajectory calculations. If they maintained current course and speed, they would intercept Pacific Liberty in approximately 45 minutes. She immediately flagged this to her tactical coordinator, who transmitted to US Naval Forces Central Command. At 1 p.m., 5th Fleet Operations Center received Chen's report and correlated it with other intelligence. Satellite imagery showed increased activity at Revolutionary Guard coastal facilities. Signals intelligence had intercepted encrypted communications, suggesting imminent maritime operation. Human intelligence from sources inside Iran indicated orders had been given to demonstrate capability against Western shipping. The conclusion was clear. Iran was preparing to seize a vessel, and Pacific Liberty, the only American-flagged tanker currently transiting, was the most likely target. At 1:05 p.m., 5th Fleet Commander made the decision: alert all quick reaction force assets. The nearest platform was USS Paul Hamilton, an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer, positioned 40 miles southeast of Pacific Liberty. Paul Hamilton carried standard loadout: Tomahawk cruise missiles, SM-2 air defense missiles, anti-submarine rockets, 5-inch deck gun. But its most relevant asset for this situation was sitting on the flight deck: 2 MH-60S Seahawk helicopters configured for VBSS operations. At 1:15 p.m., the alert klaxon sounded on Paul Hamilton's flight deck. 2 helicopter crews sprinted to their aircraft, pilots conducting pre-flight checks, crew chiefs loading equipment, rotors beginning to turn. In the ship's ready room below deck, 16 Navy SEALs received their mission brief. Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison, SEAL Team 5, led the element. 12 years of experience, multiple deployments, veteran of dozens of maritime interdiction operations. He studied the tactical display showing Pacific Liberty's position, Iranian boats closing, Intercept projected in 30 minutes. Morrison's brief to his team was concise. Iranian Revolutionary Guard boats attempting to board American flag tanker. Our mission: prevent seizure, protect the vessel and crew. Rules of engagement authorize non-lethal response with escalation to lethal force if crew threatened. We insert via helicopter, establish presence, deter boarding. If they ignore warnings, we disable their boats. If they threaten lethal force, we respond in kind. Questions? No questions. This was their job. They'd trained for exactly this scenario hundreds of times. At 1:18 p.m., both MH-60S helicopters lifted off from Paul Hamilton. Each carried 8 SEALs, full tactical gear, non-lethal weapons, flashbang grenades, pepper spray systems, acoustic deterrents, precision weapons, M4 carbines with optics, designated marksman rifles, crew-served machine guns, boarding equipment, fast ropes, grappling hooks, breaching tools, communications gear linking them to the P-8 overhead, Paul Hamilton, 5th Fleet Command. Flight time to Pacific Liberty, 12 minutes at maximum speed. At 1:20 p.m., Pacific Liberty's bridge received encrypted communication via satellite phone. Captain Robert Hayes picked up, heard the calm voice of a 5th Fleet operations officer. Captain Hayes, be advised, 6 Iranian Revolutionary Guard boats approaching your position, ETA approximately 15 minutes. Assessment indicates probable boarding attempt. You are directed to maintain course and speed. Do not comply with any Iranian orders to stop or alter course. Do not allow boarding under any circumstances. US Navy Quick Reaction Force is inbound. Arrival approximately 18 minutes. Acknowledge. Hayes acknowledged, then activated the ship's anti-piracy protocol, a set of defensive procedures developed after Somali piracy incidents in the 2000s, adapted for Persian Gulf scenarios. All non-essential crew immediately moved to secure interior spaces, the Citadel, a reinforced area below deck with communication equipment, supplies, and locks that couldn't be breached quickly. Essential crew remained at critical stations: bridge, engine control, damage control. The 4 former Coast Guard sailors took positions at observation points around the ship's deck, equipped with binoculars, radios, and fire hoses. Fire hoses might seem primitive, but at high pressure, they were effective deterrents against boarders trying to climb ship's hull. At 1:25 p.m., Hayes made a ship-wide announcement. All hands, this is the captain. We are being approached by Iranian military vessels with probable hostile intent. All personnel to anti-piracy stations. Non-essential crew to Citadel. Essential crew, maintain your positions. US Navy is aware and responding. Stay calm. Follow procedures. We will be fine. Despite the calm tone, tension was palpable. The crew knew what happened to tankers seized by Iran, crews detained for weeks or months, ships held in Iranian ports, lengthy diplomatic negotiations. But they also knew they were American flagged, and that meant protection. At 1:29 p.m., the 6 Iranian boats appeared on Pacific Liberty's horizon, small black dots initially, growing rapidly larger. Revolutionary Guard naval forces, fast attack craft based on modified commercial designs. Each carried a crew of 6 to 8, commander, pilot, navigator, 4 to 6 commandos armed with AK-47 rifles, rocket-propelled grenades, and boarding equipment. They closed at 40 knots, spray flying from their bows, Iranian flags clearly visible. At 1:31 p.m., the lead Iranian boat transmitted on International Maritime Distress Frequency, Channel 16, monitored by all vessels. American tanker Pacific Liberty, this is Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy. You have entered Iranian territorial waters. You are ordered to stop your engines immediately and prepare for boarding and inspection. Failure to comply will be considered hostile act. The transmission was in English, deliberately broadcast so it would be recorded by maritime authorities and could be cited later as lawful warning. Captain Hayes didn't respond. His orders were explicit: maintain course and speed, do not acknowledge Iranian communications. Pacific Liberty was 40 miles from Iranian coast, well within international waters as defined by United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea. Iran claimed 12 nautical miles territorial waters, plus additional contiguous zone, but even their maximum claims didn't extend to Pacific Liberty's current position. This wasn't inspection. This was seizure, piracy under color of authority. At 1:33 p.m., the Iranian boats accelerated, closing to 1,000 meters. They split into tactical formation, 2 boats approaching portside, 2 starboard, 2 trailing behind a security element, standard Revolutionary Guard boarding procedure, practiced extensively, successful in previous operations. The commandos were visible now through binoculars, weapons ready, boarding ladders secured to boat gunnels. Pacific Liberty's former Coast Guard crew members radioed the bridge with visual reports. Bridge, port lookout, 2 boats closing, 800 meters, armed personnel visible, boarding equipment ready. At 1:34 p.m., Hayes pushed the engine telegraph to full ahead. Pacific Liberty's massive diesel engines responded, propeller increasing RPM, speed climbing from 12 knots to 14, then 15. Not much for a vessel this size, but every knot made boarding more difficult. The tanker's high freeboard, distance from water to deck, already made it challenging to climb. Add forward speed and rough motion, and even experienced boarders would struggle. But Hayes knew this was only buying time. The Iranian boats were 4 times faster. They could circle, position alongside, match speed, board eventually, unless help arrived first. At 1:35 p.m., the P-8 Poseidon overhead made its presence known. Lieutenant Chen transmitted on the same frequency the Iranians had used. Iranian vessels approaching Pacific Liberty. This is United States Navy aircraft. You are attempting to board a U.S.-flagged vessel in international waters without consent. This constitutes piracy under international law. You are directed to break off and maintain minimum 500 meters distance. Your actions are being recorded and transmitted to U.S. Central Command and international authorities. The transmission was calm, professional, non-threatening, but unmistakably clear. We see you. We're recording. Stop now. The Iranian boats hesitated momentarily. Commanders looked up, trying to spot the aircraft. At 20,000 feet, the P-8 was barely visible, a small cruciform shape in the afternoon sky, but its message created tactical confusion. If Americans had surveillance overhead, they had response capability nearby. Where were the helicopters? Where was the destroyer? How much time did they have to complete the boarding before U.S. forces arrived? The lead Iranian commander made a decision: proceed quickly, board before American response could materialize. At 1:36 p.m., 2 Iranian boats closed to 300 meters, running parallel to Pacific Liberty's port side. Commandos moved to bow positions, grappling hooks ready. These hooks, attached to rope ladders, would be thrown to catch on the tanker's deck rails. Once secured, commandos would climb up, difficult but achievable with training. At 1:36:30, the boats accelerated to match Pacific Liberty's speed, closing to 50 meters. One commando raised his grappling hook, swinging it for momentum. At 1:36:45, he threw. At precisely that moment, the sound arrived. Rotor blades, deep thumping bass growing rapidly louder. 2 MH-60S Seahawks appeared over the southern horizon, flying at 140 knots just 50 feet above the water. They'd made the 40-mile flight in 11 minutes, pushed engines to maximum, skimmed wave tops to stay below radar until the last possible moment. Now they came up fast, aggressive, unmistakable. The Iranian boats scattered reflexively, momentarily breaking formation. The grappling hook missed, splashing into the water, tactical advantage lost. At 1:37 p.m., the helicopters took position. Trident 16, piloted by Lieutenant Marcus Webb, moved directly over Pacific Liberty's deck, hovering at 60 feet, downwash from rotors creating visible spray patterns on the water. Trident 17 circled the Iranian boats at close range, 100 meters away, door gunners visible in open cabin, weapons ready but not aimed yet. Lieutenant Commander Morrison's voice transmitted simultaneously on all frequencies: international maritime, Iranian military channels, Pacific Liberty's bridge radio. Iranian vessels, this is United States Navy Special Operations. You are ordered to break off immediately and move to minimum 500 meters distance from Pacific Liberty. This is your only warning before we take defensive action. You have 60 seconds to comply." Morrison's tone wasn't threatening. It was simply factual. A pilot announcing autopilot parameters. This is what will happen. Your choice how it proceeds. At 1:38 p.m., 4 Iranian boats complied, moving away. But 2 boats, the most aggressive commanders, continued closing on Pacific Liberty. 1 boat came alongside, 30 meters away, commando raising grappling hook. Morrison transmitted again. "Iranian boat on Pacific Liberty's port side. You are ordered to break off now. If you attempt to board, we will interpret that as hostile act and respond with necessary force." The Iranian commander ignored him. At 1:38:30, the commando threw his grappling hook. It caught, hooking over the rail. The commando tugged, testing, then began climbing. Morrison made the call. Trident 17, warning shots, water ahead of that boat, 3 rounds. The second helicopter descended to 30 feet, positioned directly in the Iranian boat's path. A Navy SEAL fired an M4 carbine, 3 precise shots into the water 10 meters ahead of the bow. Impact splashes clearly visible, the message unmistakable. Next rounds won't be warnings. The Iranian boat commander froze, engine throttling back. The commando halfway up the rope ladder stopped. On Pacific Liberty's deck, a former Coast Guard sailor ran to the grappling hook, unhooked it, threw it back into the water. The Iranian boat drifted backward. At 1:39 p.m., all 6 Iranian boats had moved to 200 meters distance, engines idling. But the American response wasn't finished. At 1:40 p.m., 4 more helicopters appeared. 2 AH-1Z Viper attack helicopters from USS Bataan, Hellfire missiles, Hydra rocket pods, 20mm cannons visible. 2 more MH-60S carrying additional SEALs. 6 helicopters total, 24 Navy SEALs. Overwhelming firepower. The tactical equation had shifted completely. At 1:41 p.m., Morrison transmitted his final warning. "Iranian vessels, you now have 6 United States Navy helicopters with full authorization to defend Pacific Liberty. You have 30 seconds to retreat to 500 meters, or we will interpret your presence as hostile intent. This is not negotiable." He began counting down. 30 seconds, 29, 28. At 15 seconds, the Iranian commander made his decision. "All units break contact, return to base." The 6 boats turned simultaneously, accelerating to full speed toward Iranian waters. The helicopters maintained pursuit for 5 miles, documenting everything. At 1:44 p.m., the Iranian boats crossed into their territorial waters. The helicopters broke pursuit, circled Pacific Liberty once, then departed. Total engagement, 7 minutes, 0 shots at personnel, 0 casualties, complete tactical success. At 1:46 p.m., Captain Hayes transmitted to 5th Fleet. "Situation resolved. Iranian boats retreated. No damage, no injuries, crew secure." The response came from the Admiral personally. "Well done, Captain. Continue to Kuwait. Fair winds." Pacific Liberty resumed course, crew emerging from Citadel, operations returning to normal. The P-8 Poseidon transmitted complete video package to Central Command. High-resolution footage showing Iranian boats approaching, attempting boarding, American helicopters arriving, warning shots, Iranian retreat, all in clear afternoon sunlight, absolutely undeniable. Within hours, edited portions appeared on Pentagon briefing screens, then international media. The message was strategic. This is what happens when you try to seize American-flagged vessels. At 6 p.m., Pacific Liberty docked at Kuwait's Mina Al Ahmadi terminal. On schedule, undamaged, crew safe, mission accomplished. Within 24 hours, Iran's state media released their version. Iranian naval forces successfully defended territorial waters. Complete fabrication. The P-8 footage told the truth. Iranian boats attempted seizure. Americans responded. Iranians retreated. Lloyd's of London took note. Insurance premiums for U.S.-flagged tankers in the Persian Gulf decreased. Risk of seizure essentially 0. Conversely, premiums for other nations' tankers increased. Within 2 weeks, 3 major tanker operators requested U.S. flag transfers. The security guarantee was worth the premium. For Iran, another strategic miscalculation. They'd successfully seized British and South Korean tankers through diplomatic negotiation. But the United States operates differently. No negotiation, no ransom. Attempt to board American vessel, face immediate military response, simple and consistently enforced. For the Navy SEALs, this became a training case study. Perfect VBSS deterrence execution. Lieutenant Commander Morrison received a Navy Commendation Medal. The P-8 crew received recognition for flawless surveillance enabling rapid response. In modern maritime operations, information speed matters as much as weapon speed. 1:29 p.m., 6 Iranian boats close on American tanker. 1:37 p.m., US Navy helicopters arrive. 1:38 p.m., warning shots fired. 1:44 p.m., Iranian boats retreat. 9 minutes from threat to resolution. 0 casualties, 0 negotiation, total tactical dominance. This is VBSS operations. This is maritime security in contested waters. This is why some ships are untouchable. Not because of guns on their decks, because of surveillance overhead, helicopters on standby, SEALs ready to respond, and absolute commitment that no American-flagged vessel will be seized without overwhelming military response. Pacific Liberty completed dozens more Gulf transits, never approached again. Captain Hayes retired 2 years later, record unblemished. The 4 former Coast Guard sailors received commendations for composure under pressure, and Iran learned threatening U.S. commercial vessels triggers consequences they cannot manage. The Persian Gulf remains contested waters. Iranian boats still patrol, still seize foreign vessels occasionally, but they've learned which flag to avoid. Because behind every American tanker, there's a P-8 overhead, helicopters ready, SEALs prepared, and the full weight of U.S. naval power. That's not aggression. That's protection. That's credibility. And that's why Iran can threaten all they want, but they cannot control commercial shipping bearing the American flag.